In 1990, Ghost became a cultural phenomenon that proved love never dies. But for the cast, time has been both a healer and a thief. As we revisit the legendary performers who made us believe in the afterlife, we uncover secrets and heartbreaks that stayed hidden for decades. Who stayed in the spotlight and who walked away forever. Join us for this emotional then and now tribute that you simply cannot miss. Patrick Swayze as Sam Wheat. Born on August 18, 1952 in Houston, Texas, the classically trained dancer and actor brought undeniable heart to the screen in the 1990 romantic fantasy Ghost. At the age of 37, Swayze's portrayal of Sam Wheat, a murdered banker desperate to protect his girlfriend from beyond the grave, became a monumental cultural touchstone. The film unexpectedly became the highest-grossing movie of 1990, and his performance, particularly the unforgettable pottery wheel scene, cemented his status as a global romantic icon, perfectly capturing a blend of tragic longing and fierce devotion. While Sam Wheat was the picture of a tender, ethereal romantic hero, Patrick Swayze's real personality was a complex study in contrasts. He was a tough, fiercely driven Texas cowboy and adrenaline junkie who insisted on doing his own dangerous stunts. Yet he simultaneously possessed a deeply vulnerable sensitivity. Professionally, Swayze wrestled with the double-edged sword of his massive success, battling intense typecasting, as the industry frequently tried to pigeonhole him into either purely physical action movies or melodramatic romances. This made it increasingly difficult for him to find nuanced work that utilized his full range as an actor. Combined with a string of box office disappointments in the mid-1990s, and the devastating personal losses of his father and sister, Swayze struggled with severe alcoholism, ultimately stepping away from Hollywood for a time to seek rehabilitation and rebuild his life. Swayze persevered through his hardships, retreating often to his beloved ranches with his high school sweetheart and wife of over 3 decades, Lisa Nemi. He successfully returned to character work in the 2000s, delivering memorable performances in cult classics like Donnie Darko and leading the gritty television drama The Beast. Remarkably, he filmed his final television role while undergoing grueling chemotherapy, refusing painkillers to ensure his performance remained sharp and authentic. Patrick Swayze passed away on September 14, 2009, at the age of 57, after a courageous 20-month battle with pancreatic cancer. His death prompted an immense outpouring of grief worldwide, and his ashes were later scattered over his New Mexico ranch. In the aftermath of his passing, his widow became a prominent, tireless advocate for pancreatic cancer awareness and research, ensuring his legacy of strength continues to help others. Demi Moore as Molly Jensen. Born on November 11, 1962 in Roswell, New Mexico, Demi Moore took on the role of Molly Jensen in the 1990 romantic fantasy blockbuster Ghost. At the age of 27, Moore's portrayal of the grieving yet resilient artist who reconnects with her murdered partner from beyond the grave became a massive cultural phenomenon. The role catapulted her to international superstardom, and the famous pottery wheel scene set to Unchained Melody cemented her place in cinematic history, making Molly Jensen a timeless pop culture symbol of transcendent, enduring love. While Molly Jensen was defined by her gentle vulnerability, artistic soul, and tender sorrow, Demi Moore was a fiercely ambitious and driven trailblazer in a highly competitive, male-dominated industry. This contrast became starkly evident as she navigated Hollywood. While her character was universally beloved for her softness, Moore was often unfairly characterized by the 1990s media as overly demanding and tough, earning the derogatory nickname Gimme Moore simply for negotiating equal pay. Following her historic milestone as the highest-paid actress in Hollywood, she faced intense professional hardships, enduring a string of highly publicized box office disappointments like The Scarlet Letter and Striptease. The relentless media scrutiny, coupled with the pressure of being typecast as a controversial sex symbol, ultimately led her to step away from the Hollywood spotlight and take a years-long hiatus from leading roles to focus on her family. In her later years, Demi Moore successfully reinvented her career, embracing complex character roles in independent films and television, while sharing her personal truth in her deeply candid, best-selling 2019 memoir, Inside Out. The book explored her past struggles with addiction, childhood trauma, and her high-profile marriages to Bruce Willis and Ashton Kutcher. She has continued to earn critical acclaim in a career resurgence, starring in recent projects like the television series Feud Capote vs. the Swans and the celebrated body horror film The Substance. At 63, she is a powerful advocate for women in the entertainment industry, a respected veteran actress, and a devoted mother and grandmother who remains a pillar of support for her blended family, particularly in caring for her former husband, Bruce Willis, during his health battles. Whoopi Goldberg as Oda Mae Brown. Born Karen Elaine Johnson on November 13, 1955 in Manhattan, New York City, the gifted performer took the world by storm in the hit 1990 romantic fantasy film Ghost. At the age of 34, Goldberg's portrayal of the eccentric, reluctant, and initially fraudulent psychic Oda Mae Brown became an undeniable cultural touchstone. Her performance perfectly balanced hilarious comedic relief with deep emotional resonance, earning her the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. Oda Mae not only stole the show, but remains one of cinema's most beloved and iconic characters, offering a dynamic and unforgettable performance that cemented Goldberg's status as a Hollywood powerhouse. Despite playing such a boisterous, fast-talking, and relentlessly confident character on screen, Goldberg's own career journey has been layered with intense professional complexities and stark contrasts. While Oda Mae Brown catapulted her to international superstardom, Goldberg frequently struggled against industry typecasting, often pigeonholed into playing the eccentric sidekick or zany comedic relief. She constantly had to fight to be recognized for the profound dramatic capabilities she possessed. Over the decades, she has also navigated periods of significant professional hardship, including facing intense public backlash and effective cancellations from the entertainment industry. Following highly publicized controversies in the 1990s and later due to polarizing remarks made on television, she experienced periods where she was considered a liability. She has openly spoken about how she was briefly blacklisted, leading to a profound drought of job offers and significant difficulty finding work as Hollywood temporarily turned its back on her. Goldberg persevered through the industry's highs and lows to become one of the elite few entertainers to achieve EGOT status, winning an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony Award. She successfully pivoted a major portion of her career to daytime television, becoming the cornerstone moderator on the hit talk show The View, starting in 2007, where her outspoken and deeply passionate nature found a permanent home. As of 2026, at the age of 70, she remains a formidable presence in American media and an active voice in cultural discourse. In her personal life, the thrice-divorced star is a fiercely independent matriarch who enjoys life with her daughter, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Whether continuing to act in select film and television projects, or leading daily panel discussions, Goldberg continues to prove that her legendary career is defined not by her setbacks, but by her enduring resilience and undeniable talent. Tony Goldwyn as Carl Bruner. Born on May 20th, 1960, the Los Angeles native brought the charming but treacherous Carl Bruner to life in the massive 1990 blockbuster Ghost. At the age of 30, Goldwyn's portrayal of the smooth-talking best friend, turned murderous, embezzling betrayer, became a cultural touchstone, establishing the quintessential finance bro villain archetype of the era. His performance was crucial to the film's phenomenal success, offering an unforgettable antagonist whose superficial charm and ultimate greed made audiences love to hate him. Despite the character's ruthless and morally bankrupt nature, Tony Goldwyn is known off-screen as a deeply kind, family-oriented, and politically active individual, serving as the polar opposite of the lying yuppie he played on screen. This contrast presented its own set of professional hurdles. His career was marked by the struggle of being heavily typecast. The overwhelming success of his villainous turn made it difficult to break out of playing slick bad guys for years, leading to similar antagonist roles in films like The Pelican Brief and Kiss the Girls. Furthermore, prior to his breakthrough in Ghost, he faced significant difficulty finding film work at all, often being dismissed by casting directors as just a television guest actor and having to fight fiercely alongside his wife just to land a screen test for the life-changing role. Tony Goldwyn eventually took control of his career trajectory by branching out into directing and producing, proving his versatility behind the camera on various film and television projects. Though he comes from Hollywood royalty as the grandson of legendary studio mogul Samuel Goldwyn, he carved out his own distinct legacy, notably capturing the hearts of television audiences for 7 seasons as President Fitzgerald Grant III on the massive hit series Scandal. Throughout his journey, he has maintained a grounded personal life, having been married to production designer Jane Muskie since 1989, with whom he shares 2 daughters. As of 2026, at the age of 65, he is alive and thriving as a highly respected Hollywood veteran, recently appearing in major projects like the Academy Award-winning film Oppenheimer and taking on prominent roles within the Law and Order franchise. Stephen Root as Police Sergeant. Born on November 17, 1951 in Sarasota, Florida, the versatile actor took on the brief but memorable role of the police sergeant in the 1990 romantic fantasy thriller Ghost. At the age of 38, Root's portrayal of the authoritative, pragmatic desk sergeant who assists Molly Jensen following the tragic murder of her boyfriend, Sam Wheat, helped ground the film's supernatural premise in a gritty procedural reality. While his screen time was limited, the movie itself was a massive cultural phenomenon, becoming the highest-grossing film of 1990. Root's steady, realistic presence contributed to the emotional weight of the tragedy, serving as an important stepping stone in what would become one of Hollywood's most prolific character acting careers. Despite playing a stern, no-nonsense law enforcement officer, Stephen Root's real-life personality is widely described as warm, soft-spoken, and deeply rooted in theatrical comedy and eccentric character work. This sharp contrast became evident as his career progressed. Like many great character actors, Root faced early professional hurdles, grinding away in theater for years before finally breaking into television and film in his late 30s. As his profile rose, he had to fight the industry's tendency to typecast him, especially after his iconic breakout role as the stapler-obsessed Milton in Office Space, which led to casting directors frequently attempting to pigeonhole him into playing identical quirky weirdo roles. Additionally, Root endured the devastating professional and personal hardship of the heartbreaking decline and cancellation of the beloved sitcom News Radio, which struggled to survive following the tragic murder of his close friend and co-star Phil Hartman. Stephen Root continued to build a staggering resume in both live action and voice acting, bringing iconic characters to life such as Bill Dowderive in King of the Hill, Jimmy James in News Radio, and Monroe Fuches in the critically acclaimed HBO series Barry. In his personal life, he married actress Romy Rosemont in 2008, and the couple has even shared the screen in various projects. At 74, he remains an active and deeply respected figure in the entertainment industry. Having masterfully avoided the trap of being defined by any single role, Root is celebrated as one of the most reliable and versatile character actors of his generation, continuing to work steadily in major television series and feature films. Vincent Schiavelli as Subway Ghost. Born on November 11, 1948 in Brooklyn, New York, the distinctive character actor brought an unforgettable intensity to the 1990 romantic fantasy hit Ghost. At the age of 41, Schiavelli's portrayal of the volatile territorial subway ghost became a memorable cultural touchstone. Though his screen time was relatively brief, his character was pivotal, serving as the aggressive but ultimately tragic spirit who teaches Patrick Swayze's protagonist how to focus his emotions to interact with the physical world. The film went on to become the highest-grossing movie of the year, and Schiavelli's manic, haunting performance left an indelible mark on audiences. Despite playing a wildly unhinged, violent, and angry spirit, Vincent Schiavelli was, in reality, a gentle, highly intellectual man with a profound passion for the culinary arts. The towering 6'6" actor's gaunt appearance and drooping, doleful eyes were the result of Marfan syndrome, a genetic connective tissue disorder. This distinctive look resulted in him being heavily typecast throughout his career. He frequently struggled to find work outside the narrow, limiting confines of creepy villains, bizarre eccentrics, or spooky outcasts in productions like Batman Returns, The X-Files, and Tomorrow Never Dies. This industry pigeonholing masked his true nature as a sophisticated food writer, a proud historian of his Sicilian heritage, and the honorary co-chair of the National Marfan Foundation, a far cry from the terrifying specters he was hired to play. Schiavelli continued to work steadily in film and television while cultivating a successful parallel career as an author, publishing several acclaimed cookbooks detailing Sicilian recipes and folklore. Seeking a quieter existence and a deeper connection to his roots, he eventually relocated to Polizzi Generosa, the small town in Sicily where his grandfather was born. It was there that he spent his final years, surrounded by the culture and cuisine he loved. Schiavelli passed away at his home in Sicily on December 26, 2005, at the age of 57 from lung cancer. He was laid to rest in the local cemetery of Polizzi Generosa, leaving behind a lasting legacy, not just as one of Hollywood's most instantly recognizable character actors, but as a dedicated advocate who worked tirelessly to raise awareness for the genetic disorder that shaped both his life and career. Rick Aviles as Willie Lopez. Born on October 14, 1952 in Manhattan, New York, the talented street performer and comic first honed his craft in the vibrant nightclub circuit of Greenwich Village. At the age of 37, Aviles' portrayal of the ruthless, knife-wielding mugger who murders Patrick Swayze's character in the 1990 smash hit Ghost became a defining career moment. His performance as the raspy-voiced villain brought an unmistakable, terrifying grit to the supernatural romance, thrusting the comedian into mainstream visibility and cementing the character as one of the most memorable cinematic lowlives of the era. Despite the character's cold-blooded and murderous nature, Rick Aviles was known in real life as a dynamic, charismatic, and infectious stand-up comedian. The contrast between his dark on-screen persona and his reality was something he frequently joked about, often wondering aloud why Hollywood cast a funny man as a killer. Off-stage, he noted he was actually a stone-cold businessman who regularly checked in with his stockbroker, contrasting sharply with his gritty on-screen portrayals. However, his career was marked by the struggle of being heavily typecast. His tough exterior meant he was frequently pigeonholed into playing street thugs or henchmen, leading him to ironically pitch himself to agents as the killer comic. Behind the scenes, he also battled severe personal demons, specifically a harrowing struggle with intravenous heroin addiction. Rick Aviles continued to work steadily in film and television throughout the early 1990s, taking on notable supporting roles in major productions like The Godfather Part 3, Carlito's Way, and the post-apocalyptic blockbuster Waterworld. Tragically, his personal struggles with drug use ultimately cost him his life. Aviles passed away in Los Angeles, California, on March 17, 1995, at the age of 42, from a pulmonary embolism related to AIDS complications, having contracted HIV through shared needles. His premature death was mourned quietly, with his family opting for private funeral arrangements in the immediate aftermath, adding his name to the devastating list of brilliant entertainers lost to the AIDS epidemic during that decade. Phil Leeds as Emergency Room Ghost. Born on April 6, 1916 in New York City, the seasoned character actor left a memorable mark on the blockbuster romantic fantasy Ghost, 1990. At the age of 74, Leeds' portrayal of the emergency room ghost, a cantankerous spirit who explains the confusing rules of the afterlife to Patrick Swayze's newly deceased character, became a massive highlight of the film. Though his screen time was brief, his performance added crucial world-building and a touch of dark humor to the movie's supernatural lore, contributing perfectly to a cultural phenomenon that resonated globally and became the highest-grossing film of the year. Despite the often cranky, pessimistic, or eccentric supernatural entities and elderly men he frequently portrayed on screen, Phil Leeds was known in real life as a remarkably resilient, hard-working, and gentle-spirited former stand-up comedian. His personal journey was marked by severe professional hardships that brought his early career to a devastating halt. During the McCarthy era in the 1950s, Leeds was called before the House Un-American Activities Committee and invoked the Fifth Amendment to avoid answering questions. Consequently, he was placed on the Hollywood blacklist, effectively banning him from working in the entertainment industry for a decade. To survive this grim period, the blacklisted actor was forced into menial labor, famously making ends meet by selling peanuts at Yankee Stadium and the Polo Grounds, until he could slowly rebuild his presence in the industry. Overcoming his mid-career exile, Leeds enjoyed a prolific resurgence in television and film during his later years. He remained deeply devoted to his wife Toby Brandt until her passing in 1987 and maintained a busy acting schedule throughout the 1980s and 90s. He became a ubiquitous fan-favorite guest star on hit television series, making memorable appearances as Uncle Mel on Everybody Loves Raymond, Judge Happy Boyle on Ally McBeal, and featuring in Friends, Roseanne, and Night Court. He worked consistently until the very end of his life, showcasing an enduring dedication to his craft. Leeds passed away from pneumonia at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles on August 16, 1998, at the age of 82. His death was deeply mourned by the television community, and Ally McBeal notably eulogized his character and legacy by featuring a tribute of his past appearances in the episode Happy Trails. Armelia McQueen as Clara, born on January 6, 1952. In Southern Pines, North Carolina, Armelia McQueen had already made a name for herself on the Broadway stage before making the leap to the silver screen. At the age of 38, McQueen's portrayal of Clara, one of the wonderfully boisterous and hilariously skeptical sisters to Whoopi Goldberg's Oda Mae Brown in the 1990 blockbuster Ghost, became a massive scene-stealing success. Her impeccable comedic timing and vibrant energy provided vital levity to the deeply romantic and suspenseful paranormal drama. Clara quickly became a highly memorable part of a cultural phenomenon, offering an animated and unforgettable dose of comedic relief that perfectly complemented the film's supernatural antics. Despite playing larger-than-life brassy and deliberately loud characters on screen, Armelia McQueen was remembered by friends as a gentle, sweet-natured, and fiercely loyal individual whose real-life demeanor was quite the opposite of her most famous roles. Having initially majored in fashion design, she possessed a quiet, meticulous creativity that starkly contrasted with the bombastic sidekicks she brought to life. Professionally, her career was marked by the frustrating struggle of being typecast in Hollywood. Because of her comedic flair and commanding stage presence, she was frequently pigeonholed into sassy best friend or loud comedic foil roles, making it an uphill battle to secure the varied dramatic parts her immense theatrical training warranted. She also faced the sudden cancellation of the beloved Disney Channel series Adventures in Wonderland, where she starred as the Red Queen for 100 episodes before the show abruptly ended, forcing her into a period of relying on scattered sitcom guest spots to sustain her television career. Armelia McQueen continued to work steadily across television and theater throughout the decades, bringing her signature joy to guest appearances on hit shows like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Martin, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and Heart of Dixie. Though she remained deeply cherished in the Broadway community and frequently reunited with her theater family, she maintained a relatively quiet personal life away from the Hollywood spotlight. McQueen passed away in Beverly Hills, California on October 3, 2020, at the age of 68 following a brief illness. Her death prompted an emotional outpouring of love from the theater and television worlds, with friends and former co-stars publicly mourning the loss of a remarkably talented performer whose beautiful soul and radiant smile left an indelible mark on everyone who knew her. Bruce Jarchow as Lyle Ferguson. Born on May 19, 1948 in Evanston, Illinois, the skilled stage and screen actor brought the character of Lyle Ferguson to life in the 1990 supernatural romance blockbuster Ghost. At the age of 41, Jarchow's portrayal of the hapless, intensely nervous bank official became a memorable comedic highlight in one of the decade's defining movies. As the unsuspecting executive whom Oda Mae Brown and the spirit of Sam Wheat trick into closing a massive money laundering account, Jarchow's bewildered and frantic reactions provided the perfect tension-breaking humor. The iconic scene remains a cultural touchstone of the film, adding a delightful layer of comedic justice to a profoundly emotional and phenomenally successful cinematic story. Despite playing a rigid, easily manipulated, and stuffy corporate banker, Bruce Jarchow's real personality and creative roots were wildly different. He was an uninhibited, energetic, and highly adaptable performer who cut his teeth in the unpredictable, spontaneous world of Chicago's Second City improv comedy scene. This stark contrast between his vibrant, free-flowing improv background and the uptight characters he played on screen was a recurring theme throughout his career. Jarchow often faced the professional hardship of being rigidly typecast as neurotic bureaucrats, hapless authority figures, or stuffy doctors. This typecasting meant he spent much of his career navigating the unstable and grinding life of a bit-part character actor, bouncing between guest spots and dealing with the professional sting of sudden show cancellations, such as his stints on The Norm Show and What About Joan, which made it difficult to lock down a permanent, long-lasting leading role. Jarchow continued to be a reliable and versatile presence in television and film for decades, pushing past the confines of typecasting to take on recognizable roles like Principal Scampi in the Weird Science TV series and Dr. Miskelly in the 1995 thriller Outbreak, along with appearances on hit shows like Seinfeld, Parks and Recreation, and Desperate Housewives. In his later years, he returned to his Chicago-area roots, recently drawing praise for his sensitive and comedic role as Edward in the critically acclaimed Showtime series Work in Progress. As of 2026, at the age of 77, Bruce Jarchow is alive and residing in the greater Chicago area. He continues to embrace his passion for acting and remains a respected veteran of both the improvisational stage and the screen, proving that his comedic timing and talent have only sharpened over his 4-decade career. Angelina Estrada as Rosa Santiago. Born on February 28, 1932, in Los Angeles, California, the veteran actress first brought Rosa Santiago to life in the 1990 romantic fantasy blockbuster Ghost. At the age of 58, Estrada's portrayal of the grieving yet easily convinced seance client became a cultural touchstone of comedic relief, offering a hilarious depiction of supernatural charlatanism turned real. In her unforgettable scene opposite Whoopi Goldberg's Oda Mae Brown, her brilliant comedic timing defined a minor character that remains an iconic and beloved part of the highest-grossing film of that year. Despite the character's highly emotional and gullible nature, Angelina Estrada was intensely grounded, sharp, and described by those who knew her as a stark contrast to the eccentric and superstitious clients portrayed in Ghost. This contrast was a significant part of her professional journey. She found playing overly animated stereotypical roles to be a challenging but necessary part of navigating the industry. Her career was heavily marked by the struggle of being typecast into minor background roles such as generic aunts or grieving mothers, which made it notoriously difficult for her to find substantial multidimensional work in Hollywood. The lack of varied opportunities brought a professional sting. Despite her undeniable scene-stealing ability in a massive blockbuster, she frequently faced long, discouraging gaps between acting jobs, a disheartening reality for a veteran Latina character actress. Angelina Estrada continued to work in television and film sporadically throughout the 1990s, taking on parts in movies like Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare, and making guest appearances on sitcoms such as Martin. Beyond the screen, she remained a deeply private individual who valued her quiet life and focused heavily on her family, which notably included her son Bobby Shayer, the former drummer for the punk rock band Bad Religion. Her final credited acting roles came around the year 2000, after which she quietly retired from the grueling entertainment industry to spend her remaining years out of the public eye. Estrada passed away in Las Vegas, Nevada on August 5, 2005 at the age of 73 from heart failure. Her passing was mourned by family and cult cinema fans alike, quietly honoring her legacy as a reliable character actress who contributed unforgettable moments to classic American cinema. It is rare for a film to capture the essence of the afterlife and the power of love, quite like Ghost did in 1990. Watching the cast evolve over the decades is a poignant reminder of our own journey through time. Their faces may have changed, but the magic they created remains timeless. If this reunion touched your heart, please give this video a like and hit that notification bell to stay connected with your favorite stars.